The envelope felt heavier than it really was as I held it in my hands. My palms were sweaty, and my heart beat so fast I thought it might burst out of my chest. I had been waiting weeks for this DNA test result to arrive, but now that it was here, I was almost too scared to open it. The paper inside seemed to whisper secrets I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at the seal as if it were a locked door to another world. 1,000 thoughts rushed through my mind, each one scarier than the last. What if the results showed something I didn't want to know? What if my whole life wasn't what I thought it was? I bit my lip, trying to gather the courage to tear it open. I had no idea that this single piece of paper would change my life forever. It all started as a joke between friends one Friday evening. We had been talking about those DNA kits that people use to trace their roots or find long-lost relatives. My best friend laughed and said, "Come on, try it. Who knows, maybe you're secretly royalty." At first, I rolled my eyes because I didn't think it was serious. But something about the idea stayed in my mind. Maybe I was just curious. Maybe I wanted to know more about my family history, or maybe I was simply bored. I told myself there was nothing to lose. After all, my life was ordinary and predictable. I ordered the kit online, not knowing that the decision would open the darkest and brightest chapter of my life at the same time. When I finally opened the envelope, my eyes froze on the words printed in bold. My father, the man who had raised me, taught me to ride a bike, and wiped my tears when I was little, was not biologically related to me. I blinked several times, thinking maybe I had read it wrong. But the truth stared back at me, cold and unchanging. My chest tightened, and I felt like the room was spinning. Could it be a mistake? I whispered to myself, shaking my head. Memories of my childhood flashed in my mind, and suddenly every smile, every hug, every word from him felt like a question mark. I dropped the paper to the floor and covered my face with my hands. The world I knew, the world I trusted, had just crumbled in a second. The days that followed were filled with silence and confusion. I could barely sleep at night, and when I did, I dreamt of my father's face fading into shadows. My appetite disappeared, and my thoughts circled endlessly around the question, should I confront my mother? Every time I looked at her, I searched for clues in her eyes. Did she know? Had she hidden this from me all these years? I wanted answers, but I was also afraid of what those answers might be. I tried convincing myself it wasn't worth opening old wounds. But the ache in my heart grew heavier, and the silence became unbearable. I realized that not asking was eating me alive. One evening, I couldn't hold it in any longer. My mother was sitting at the dining table, sipping her tea quietly, when I walked in with the envelope in my hand. My voice shook as I said, "Mom, we need to talk." She looked up at me, her eyes wide, as if she already knew what was coming. I placed the paper in front of her, and she stared at it for a long time before a tear rolled down her cheek. The silence between us was thick, painful, and almost suffocating. Finally, she whispered, "I was hoping this day would never come." My heart pounded, and I sat across from her, waiting for words that could either break me or set me free. She told me her story with trembling hands and a broken voice. Years ago, before I was born, her life was complicated. She had made choices out of fear, love, and desperation. The man I grew up calling father had known from the beginning that I wasn't his biological child. Yet, he chose me, loved me, and protected me as if I were his own blood. As she spoke, I didn't know whether to cry or scream. Part of me was angry for being kept in the dark, but another part of me felt a strange respect for the man who raised me. My mother wept as she begged for my forgiveness. My chest ached with too many emotions to count. After days of silence and reflection, curiosity began to take over my fear. I wanted to know where I truly came from. With shaky hands, I logged back into the DNA database and started digging deeper. Hours turned into days as I searched for matches. Then, one morning, I saw it, a name, a face, and a note that said, possible half-sibling. My breath caught in my throat. Could it be real? I stared at the screen, unsure whether to cry, smile, or close the laptop and pretend I had never seen it. But something inside me told me I had to know more. Reaching out was the hardest part. I typed a message at least 10 times, deleting and rewriting it because I didn't know how to start. Finally, I sent a simple one, "Hi, I think we might be related." The reply came hours later, and my heart raced as I opened it. The words were cautious but open, "Yes, I think so too. I've been waiting for someone like you to show up." The next few days were filled with messages back and forth. We asked questions, shared bits of our lives, and filled in missing pieces like a puzzle. The connection was fragile but real. For the first time, I didn't feel so alone in the secret anymore. The day of the meeting arrived, and I was both excited and terrified. I stood outside the cafe, rehearsing what I would say, but my mind went blank when I saw them walking toward me. The resemblance was undeniable. We had the same eyes, the same awkward smile, and even the same way of tilting our heads. We hugged, and it felt both strange and natural at the same time. We sat down and talked for hours, sharing stories of our childhoods, our struggles, and our dreams. Every word felt like a piece of myself I had been missing all my life. By the time the sun set, I knew I had gained more than a sibling. I had gained a part of me that had been lost for years. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I thought about everything that had happened. A simple test I took out of curiosity had changed the story of my life. It had broken me, healed me, and reshaped me in ways I never imagined. Family, I realized, was not just about blood but about love, truth, and the courage to face both. My father who raised me would always be my father, no matter what the paper said. But now I also had another family, another chapter to write. The DNA didn't just reveal my past, it gave me a new future. And in that moment, I understood that sometimes the truth doesn't destroy you. Sometimes, it sets you free.